Hello and welcome to SATV's International Affairs show. My name is Rashid Kanchan and I have a very distinguished panelist today. I have Dr. Muhammad Nurul Islam. He is the Technical and Vocational Educational Training Specialist from Finance Division, Ministry of Finance. Because as you know that Professor Muhammad Yunus has signed an MOU with Japan. It is a G2G and also G2G partnership agreement that 100,000 Bangladeshi semi-skilled and skilled workers will move to Japan, and it is a new market of course for Bangladesh officially. He will be talking on that particular issues and importance of education, and we have our regular international affairs commentator Shamsul Alam Panto, who will give us some ideas what's happening in the world, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Kanchan. A warm welcome to Dr. Nurul Islam as well. Actually, we are in the midst of a couple of issues. We can see in the Middle East we have a possible ceasefire, if I would say. Right now, the US representative in the Middle East, Steve Witkoff, is bearing some brush as he is dealing with the ceasefire negotiation between Hamas, Israel and the United States. Not just that, there are some developments between Russia and Ukraine. Two bridges collapsed bordering Ukraine, and there were 7 casualties. Apart from that, there is a huge exodus of students planning to leave the US due to US administration's regulatory issues.
I will also request you to that we can discuss about the first time from Indian side they have acknowledged some of their number of their casualties and airplane losses. We will definitely discuss that. First come to Dr. MD Nurul Islam. You are working for Ministry of Finance in Finance Division to elevate the migration in different countries, especially skill development towards his employment. Recent Japan issues also you can talk about, and Malaysia migration. Would you please let us know what is your impression about the recent development of Professor Muhammad Yunus's Japan tour, and he has signed with his counterpart one agreement about the 100,000, it's a huge number, to Japan first time. What is your impression on that?
Thank you so much. Actually, this is the great achievement of Professor Yunus, particularly the interim government, because Japan is very much comfortable country for Bangladeshi workers. It is a cherished destination, you can say, because there is labor law is strictly maintained there. Their working environment is very fine, and wages are very high. So these attracts Bangladeshi skilled workers in Japan. But we are trying to send the workers to Japan from 1990. It was only for the trainees or interns, they call it interns. Recently they started the SSW program, that is a skilled workers program, from last few years, but the number is not significant. But the recent MOU, what is signed in Japan, it will open the avenue for the skilled workers in Japan in 14 sectors. They call it different areas they have selected, particularly in manufacturing sector and agriculture sector and some other service sectors. And 14 occupations are identified. In these occupations, Bangladeshi workers will go there and they can work there for 5 years. And the number, as you mentioned, that the number is a huge number. 100,000 is very a big number for Bangladeshi workers in Japan. And for the economy, you see, Bangladesh, you know, every year 2.2 million, at around 22 lakhs people are coming to the labor force, and we can just arrange the employment locally around 6 to 7 lakhs only, and the formal sector around 1 lakh. But the overseas employment plays the vital role for this employment generation. Last year around 1 million people went abroad, and in 2023 around 1.3 million, that is 13 lakh people are employed in different countries.
So as per I understand from your informations that of course government and private sector must be focused on, you know, sending skilled and semi-skilled manpower to the world, because we are not able to create more jobs locally for them.
Yes.
Sir, I will come back to you regarding this particular subject, because this is a very important subject for our economy as well. I want to go to our international affairs commentator Shamsul Alam Panto. My first question would be, see, at least 21 Palestinians were killed and 175 wounded near US backed aid distribution site. Sir, it is aid distribution site. People has gone there to receive aid to survive, but they has been under attack, and 21 died and 175 wounded. Witness and medical sources report Israeli forces opened fire. Sir, I want to repeat the word opened fire on the civilians approaching the area. What kind of brutality this is? What kind of war it is? What kind of conflict it is, sir?
Thank you, Mr. Kanchan. We've been monitoring this issue with Israel and Gaza for as far long as this show. And what we realize is even after the mediation, they did allow UN World Food Program to allow distribution of aid. There was a massive worldwide call towards Israel and this heinous attack. We know Australian Prime Minister, German's Chancellor, they've all condemned Israel's notion towards the Gaza people. Not just that, there was a definitive attack in the North Gaza hospital that was most definitely a foreign-backed hospital, and we've seen that a doctor who was serving people in the Khan Yunis region lost her 8 children, only one surviving. So it's a very bad situation that's going on there. Not only so, the people who have been in the face of starvation for the last 2 months, they have tried their level best to survive. Not only so, they were seen rushing into the World Food Program distribution center and doing so. Almost 4 people have died and numerous amount of injuries. So the situation is still unfolding. However, they have the Gazan people have said the UN had failed to distribute the aids properly. Not only so, at this moment, the world faces other crises, but this one being the one that's been long reigning. If you would say last 80 years, this conflict has been going on. And not only that, the US has tried to create a dialogue with Hamas. As you know, they are the representative on the Gazan side. Even though in some sources we do know that Hamas is initially an Israeli creation. Not only so, we shall see how this goes on. Most definitely the world leaders around the globe are planning on how to get this situation under control and to realize the two-party factor.
Sir, if you allow for a second, AP has just unfolded a news that Hamas has responded to a US proposed 60 days ceasefire, offering to release 10 living hostages and 18 dead bodies of Israelis. How about the Group 6 amendments to the plan? They said this agreement will not work. We need amendments. We want to put some conditions, which US envoy Steve Witkoff has leveled totally unacceptable.
At this moment, there was a call for a 60-day truce between all the parties involved. A transfer of 10 civilians alive and numerous dead bodies that we have on the other side. Not just that, at this moment, if you take Israel and America into it, they have another issue with impending Iran. If you forget about the Gaza people, they have an issue with Iran that's coming up regarding the nuclear enrichment of uranium. Not only so, it's still a matter to see how far it progresses, but most initially, if Steve Witkoff can bring into an agreement between the Hamas and the transfer of prisoners of war or transfer of the victims, most definitely that there could be a better understanding in the coming month. Not only so, in June, in New York, France and Saudi Arabia is planning for a summit or a dialogue with the UN as well to give Palestinians statehood. So this is definitely progressive.
So this is a kind of pause for 60 days for US and Israel. They will actually focus on Iran issue.
Iran issue, yes.
I'll come back to you, sir. This is very interesting. They will pause war here. They will focus on other areas for Iran to deal Iran. Iran is a very complicated and difficult country geographically. I want to come back to Dr. Muhammad Nurul Islam, who is from Minister of Finance. He has experience on skill migration. Sir, I want to give you one picture. If you go to foreign country, you will see the managerial level jobs are done by Indian people or Sri Lankan people. The labor force are from Bangladesh people. One manager earns 20 laborers same income. What do you think? Should government give a very high priority concentration on making people skilled for the foreign market as well? You are a specialist on that particular subject, sir.
Actually, you have mentioned the right things. Bangladeshi people are branded with the cleaners and workers and laborers. Presently, around 41% is the semi-skilled workers are going abroad in different countries. You see, Bangladesh is sending to 174 countries these workers, but concentration of 93% are in with only 9 countries. That is the Middle East and some countries, and Singapore and Malaysia. And the skilled workers, as you mentioned, all the problems lies with the unskilled workers mostly. And if these workers are skilled, then we can just overcome the labor problem there. Their human situation in those countries will be solved. And the main thing is the remittance. You can earn more remittance with them, and at least 3 to 4 times than these general workers. So government is prioritizing this skill development training in different, in what project I am working now, you call it CCIP, Skills for Industry Competitiveness and Innovation Program under the Minister of Finance. And we are trying to scale up this training program because these workers will be absorbed in the local industry, as well as they will go to the to work in different countries. And mainly one component we have introduced in this program is the international certification. That is, our certificate in Bangladesh are provided by 2 departments, that is NSDA and BTEB, that is Bangladesh Technical Education Board and National Skill Development Authority. But these are not recognized in different countries in the overseas. So we are trying to get the international certification. In those international certification, these workers will get the opportunity to work in anywhere in the world, and this will open another avenue. And as we were discussing about the Japan market, you see Japan has given some conditions, that is they must have some language proficiency. For some occupations they need N5 level, in some occupations they need N4 level, that is a little bit higher, and also the skill training will be there. So in the combination of this language training and also the skill training, I think they can go to Japan and work very proficiently, and they can earn the money.
So you also think that government should put HPC, what is called just a technical term, HPC means high priority concentration on developing skills.
Of course.
I will do a same sort of question to our international affairs commentator, because he is also a recruiter, he is also an employer. Sir, when as a journalist we talk with the employer or recruiter, they always feel frustrated that we don't get proper people to run the proper projects for the right person, for the right positions. But when we talk with the job seekers, they say there is no job in the country. So both are absolutely contradictory, paradigm shift comment from. So you are a recruiter as well, you run hotels, 5-star hotels in Bangladesh, you operate television, you operate transportation business, parcel and courier. As a recruiter point of view or as an employer point of view, what is your opinion? Are the Bangladeshi young generations ready to take the challenges in 21st century to make happy to the recruiters?
Thank you, Mr. Kanchan. Very important question as well. Let me give you some backdrop. When you look at the Indian household and the number of employees it produces, there are in multiple countries they have proven themselves that they are worthy of employment. Not only so, in Bangladesh, the greatest resource we will ever have is our people. Given that our people need more training and more sophistication, sharpening of skills, if you would say. Back when I was in Singapore almost a decade before, any Bengali that they would meet would automatically fall into the criteria of a construction laborer or a construction worker. Now, how to change this issue? If you would focus on the education sector of this country, we know in previous times everyone would have graduated with a GPA 5. Given that that is a good accomplishment, but knowledge attained and knowledge served. If you look at how much of this knowledge that we learn in these higher education fields, how much of it do we show in our working lives? Not much at all. Given that Bangladesh definitely can focus on becoming an international player, as we know that the world is very competitive, and the manufacturing giants are definitely looking for people who can serve their managerial roles at a shorter price or at a less induced salary. So definitely Bangladesh does have an opportunity to be a world player, given that they should refine their skills. Most definitely learn more than one language, learn more than one skill, go out of your speciality to do a varied amount of tasks. Definitely if the generation Z that we know today, if they can hone such a skill, most definitely they'll be able to play in the global markets with India and China.
Sir, I was listening very attentively, and you have articulated a very nice picture. I just want to do one more question with this. You know, in West, especially in Germany, they focus on technical education.
Yes.
In Japan, they focus on technical education. If somebody is not good at technical education, you know, the counselors or the consultants advise them to go to the academics, go for the higher education and be theoretical, not to come in the field. But in our country, you see, the young generation go to the job market with the certificates, with no technical know-hows. That's why I think the recruiters are unhappy, the recruiters are frustrated because of our this situation, and they hire managerial posts from outside, like India, like Sri Lanka, like other countries. That's why a huge number of remittances also going back. My question is to you, do you think government and private sector both should create some facilities for the young generation to be skilled in technically and logically for face the international challenges, to go for the international market to compete?
First of all, you should set, or our country should set a basic minimum. This is the basic minimum everyone has to follow. Once we have a basic minimum of standard, we can definitely see how far the outcomes are going to fare well for the country. Not only so, we are talking about education here, and I would definitely add into a case study. Over the week or the weekend, we've seen America's stance on first of all, they restricted Harvard spending regarding its students. Not just that, they banned Harvard on the ability to hire foreign students. And then the story became as they started banning Chinese students.
Yes, sir.
So definitely this will add into a further trade war. Now how we should understand this procedure, definitely US and China are definitely going through some kind of trade tension. Regarding this issue, we've heard a gossip that Xi Jinping's daughter was studying in USA. But back to your main question about how we can enrich our future students, definitely have a basic standard, a floor. Maybe then they can progress on to more technical fields. We are known to be a country that has a lot of people. Most definitely we can enrich our students better for the future.
Sir, as you raised the China US trade issues, I will come back to you after MD Nurul Islam regarding a question to FDI, attracting FDI in Bangladesh. My question will be to you when I'll come back to you. China has accused US Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth of showing division in the Asia Pacific region following his speech at the Shangrila Dialogue in Singapore, where he warned of China's imminent threat to Taiwan. I will definitely come back to you with that. Before that, I want to go to Dr. Nurul Islam. Dr. Nurul Islam, you know, we have 3 deep sea ports, Chittagong, Mongla and Paira. We have 180 million people. We have bordering countries with the largest world population, India, where we can go by walk, if you forget about the ports. Our land price is good. Our power supply is uninterrupted right this moment, and local we have a huge market. Why not? The foreign direct investors will be attracted to Bangladesh to come because we have still the cheapest labor power price.
Very nice question actually. Actually, foreign direct investment, you know, we are just sending the workers overseas, and we are getting around $26 billion per annum. But FDI is 13 times less than the remittance, because you have rightly pointed out that we have enough manpower, but you don't have any skilled manpower. Our productivity level is low, so the foreign direct investment is not coming so fast, because they are just having the cheap labor, but cheap labor is not always cheap if it is not productive. That is the main question. You see, our labor productivity is sometimes less than Vietnam also, and we are the second largest apparel exporter in the world, but China is the number one, but our productivity compared to China is very, very low. That's why the foreign direct investment is not coming. In this opportunity, I just want to mention that in our country, you see the entry level of the skill training is around 16 to 19% of the total education system. But in Germany, it is 65%. In Switzerland, around 62 to 3%.
Almost 5 times.
5 times. But always we think that the developed country, they are doing the general education, higher education, but no, it's not true. In Germany, 65% are coming to the skill of TVET. We call it TVET, Technical and Vocational Education, and they are introducing the dual training system. That is, sometimes in the education, general education, in the schools, and sometimes in the industry. And they are maintaining it very nicely. But in our country, 3 terms are always used, that is skill shortage, skill mismatch, and skill gap. These 3 terms are used by the industry to the institution, training institution. They said what you are producing, they have the skill gap with our demand. They are with the skill shortage and also the skill mismatch with the industry. And it is true also for the overseas employment. And you mentioned one interesting thing, that our $6 billion is our outflow remittance, with the only 200 to 300,000 skilled workers or some professionals from India, China, Korea, Taiwan, and Philippines. Why it is so? Because
sir, let me be very honest and let me be very direct. I have a very direct question to you. You have given so much of data which is practical. Why don't you talk directly whose responsibility it is to converting our education system into technical, because ultimately world will be running by the technical people. I will have the same question to our international affairs commentator Shamsul Alam Panto, because he is a young generation leader. He also has to face the same problem.
Yes, actually what we are lacking, because we are thinking about this, what we are lacking with this skill shortage, because we have identified 3 things. Our skilled workers are lacking with communication skills, which is combination of IT skills, language skills, and decision making skills. These 3 skills in our general education it is absent, also in the skill development training system it is absent, and government policy still is not commensurate with the skill training system. People are not coming. Now presently different project support from different development partners are supporting the skill training, because you see skill trainings should be at par with the technological development. Our training centers in the skill development training, starting from the polytechnic towards the technical training centers, the lower level, they are not well equipped with the equipment with latest technology. Number 2 is the trainer. We are very suffering with the serious shortage of trainers in government department and also in the private sector. And number 3 is the attitude to come to the skill training systems. Always they are thinking we will go for the general education, for graduation, masters, but there is no job, because so many masters or graduate are coming for the very lower level job. But
sir,
they are
let me get the new generation's opinion. He is a young generation entrepreneur. Sir, what is your opinion or what is your view on this particular issue?
The issue is definitely damning, as I'll tell you. Most of the younger generation in Bangladesh, their national dream, or I would say, is to leave Bangladesh, and that is definitely concerning to our
But
country's
you have been
development.
educated outside and you have
Yes.
come back to Bangladesh.
I have, not all will be like me, of course, definitely. I chose to come back due to, I was stuck during the coronavirus issue, but that's irrelevant. But I will definitely tag along here. Most of the younger generations, they plan on moving outside of Bangladesh, whether it is to pursue a better education or to pursue a better employment. And we've seen that the rise of AI, if you could call it artificial intelligence, it wasn't there during our time. So when we had to research about a topic, we either went to the public library, we looked at scholarly articles. Before making any kind of research claims, it had to be backed up by laboratory results. But in current times, you see ChatGPT has gone to such an extent, AI in a broader context, that much of the researching skills that we had are lacking in the generations now and to come. So definitely there are some issues regarding technological advancements, but most of the Bengalis that are abroad, they do represent Bangladesh to a certain degree, and it would be more beneficial to our economy if they would have returned and if there was a better environment here in comparison to environments abroad.
Sir, time has come to go for a short break, but after the break we will do a fantastic debate on two things for both of the gentlemen. AI and ChatGPT, will it hamper the fourth layer or fifth layer or third layer jobs, because they don't know any other skills, they don't have any other skills, how they will feed themselves and their family. We will have a very fantastic subject to debate after the break, ladies and gentlemen.
মোবারক পবিত্র ঈদ উল আজহায় এসএটিভির 7 দিনব্যাপী বিশেষ আয়োজন।
চোর, ছ্যাঁচোর, বাটপার, মিথ্যাবাদী, এদেরকে না আমার একদম সহ্য হয় না। আর এদেরকে ধরাই তো আমার কাজ।
ম্যাডাম, আমাদের দুইজনের জাত মিলবে না ম্যাডাম। আমি একটা কনস্টেবল, আপনি একজন এসআই ম্যাডাম। আমি গরিব মানুষ ম্যাডাম, আমার কোনো ক্ষতি করেন না ম্যাডাম, প্লিজ ম্যাডাম।
ম্যাডাম, ছেলে মাশাআল্লাহ অনেক সুন্দর, ছেলে আপনার মতো পুলিশ অফিসার, দুইজন সমান সমান আছেন ম্যাডাম, দুইজনরে যা মানাইবো ম্যাডাম।
আর আপনাকে দেখার পরই মনে হচ্ছিল যে আমার জোড়া আপনি, উপরওয়ালা আপনাকে আমার জন্যই পাঠাইছে দুনিয়াতে।
আমি হারে ডাবল ডিমেন অফার ছাইরা দিছি। মানুষ তো বিয়া করতে গেলে 1 খেন মোটরসাইকেল দেয়, আমি তারে বলিছি 2 খেন দিব।
না, আমি যদি কখনো বেইমানি করি, প্রতারণা করি, বাটপারি করি, চুরি করি কিংবা মিথ্যা কথা বলি,
এটা তোমার দ্বারা সম্ভবই না
ম্যাডাম।
আরে কি আশ্চর্য, তুমি আমাকে সেলুট দিচ্ছ কেন?
মা, ছেলেটার সাথে তুই এটা না করলেও পারতিস।
আপনার প্রতারক বাটপার হাজবেন্ডের বিচার অবশ্যই আমি করব। প্রথমে থানায় নিয়ে আসবো, তারপরে গিরায় গিরায় ডান্ডা দিয়া পিটাবো।
আমারও তোমার সাথে কিছু কথা আছে।
রাখো তোমার কথা, তোমার কথা মানি তো। কথা কথা তুমি কসম দিবা আমাকে মাইরো না, আমাকে কখনো ছেড়ে যায়ও না, এগুলাই তো বলবা। দিস ইজ ফর ইউ।
নাটক চোর পুলিশ দেখবেন ঈদের 7ম দিন রাত 8টায়। বর্ণিল ঈদ আয়োজন নিয়ে আমরা থাকছি আপনার সাথে। ঈদ মোবারক পবিত্র ঈদ উল আজহায় এসএটিভির 7 দিনব্যাপী বিশেষ আয়োজন। ঈদ স্পেশাল এসএ প্রেক্ষাগৃহে ঈদের দিন দেখবেন হৃদয়ের বন্ধন, ঈদের দ্বিতীয় দিন দেখবেন বাজাও বিয়ের বাজনা, ঈদের তৃতীয় দিন দেখবেন নয়ন ভরা জল।
Ladies and gentlemen, as I said before the break that we will have a very fantastic debate on the impact of AI and ChatGPT to young generations job creation and employment field. But before that, we have another interesting subject that China has accused directly to US Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth of showing division in the Asia Pacific region following his speech at the Shangrila Dialogue in Singapore, where he warned of China's imminent threat to Taiwan. Is there any action going on from China to Taiwan or China to Hong Kong? But why United States is so concerned about, nothing is happening there, but United States is telling don't do anything there, we are here. Why, sir?
Thank you, Mr. Kanchan. We'll look at the Shangrila Dialogue that's been happening over the weekend. It's taken place in Singapore. And as you know, this would be the first time since 2019 that a Chinese delegation or a defense delegation did not appear. However, China had dispatched academic scholars to learn about the event this time around. Not just that, the US Defense Chief Pete Hegseth openly accused, if not targeted China and regards to China's military defense build-up in the South China Sea, or which the American side calls the Indo-Pacific region. Not just that, later when Mr. Pete Hegseth did accuse China of such a notion, China accused him regarding creating a division between the Asian states. Now, you know, Singapore is historically known to be hosting two different parties or two different scopes of the world governance. They are most definitely a very powerful nation. I used to live in that nation. Not just that.
Sir, if you can remember, they hosted Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un meeting also there.
Right. So that was held in 2018. So in this regard, during the Shangri-La Dialogue, we see a EU leader, Emmanuel Macron, trying to create new defense ties with Asian nations. Of course, Asia is a massive bloc in the world. We know last week it was the ASEAN summit as well. Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim said that we are in a growing concern of the US tariff issue, how it has affected almost every economy in Asia. So right now, if in terms of Asia, Asia is looking towards someone who can definitely supply arms to Asia, not only so keep Asia protected at all cost.
Sir, as you mentioned regarding the arms in Asia, how Turkey has developed, immense development, arms making, ammunition making, drones making. Why a Muslim nation becomes so much of rich in this business? How?
Thank you for asking about Turkey. Right, of course, if you look at historically,
I know you have interest about this topic.
Definitely, I've been reading into the world affairs, as you know. I've been also hosting this show.
Yeah.
Not just that, we see Turkey is actually historically known as the crossroads of the world. That means Western allies forces, Western nations and Asia have mingled inside a place called Turkey. Now, Turkey is now headed by Recep Tayyip Erdogan, who's someone who is a proud Muslim as well. He understands that being so as the cross worlds to the entire globe, he has an avid opportunity to build military infrastructure. And he has done so. The Bayraktar drone, a creation of Turkey, which is immensely purchased by Russian army. Not just that, even Bangladesh has numerous, like 6 pieces of drones from the Turkey. So what happened is they had their own breakthrough and military advancement in Turkey, which allowed them to be somewhat of a threatening force. Now, if you look at it before, everyone would look at Turkey and be like, oh, they're a very nice scenic tourist destination. However, the administration that is presiding over Turkey also understand that we can definitely have a better military budget in order to develop such weapons, which not only fulfills the purpose of the Turkish armed forces, it has now fulfilled the purpose of multiple armed forces worldwide.
I'll come back to you. Last week I was watching your show. You have done one very hypothetical question to a Dhaka University IR professor, that is there any potential that Bangladesh would move into a nuclear nation?
Yes.
Bangladesh can think about a nuclear nation. I will definitely come back to you for details, because I was watching your show from outside country. Now I'll go to Dr. MD Nurul Islam. As I was telling, that if AI becomes so much of related and relevant to our daily life and industrial life, business life, what would be the future of third layer, fourth layer, fifth layer jobs, because they don't have other skills? How they will feed themselves and their families? Otherwise, they will go for crime, little crime, big crime. What do you think, as you are working in Ministry of Finance for developing technical educations and vocational educations? Do you have any direct programs for the people of third layer, fourth layer, and fifth layer people?
Yeah, we have a very much interesting question you put. Actually, when computer comes in 1970s, people thought that the people will lose the job because computer will do so many works and the manual work will be lessened, but practically it has not happened, because you see, whenever any new technology comes, then so many supporting technologies are coming to feed them in the mid-level and low-level skills. So we are just feeding them. AI, you see, now the ChatGPT or DeepSeek, they are doing so many works. You can find anything, just giving the search, you can write so many things, but practically these programming also done by some people. So man behind the machine is there. So we have to prepare those manpower to support them. And we are doing these things. We are producing the programmer, we are producing the IT support personnel, and they are supporting these things. Because you see, we are now passing the Industrial Revolution 5, fourth Industrial Revolution, crossing the fifth Industrial Revolution now. And so many things are just operated through artificial intelligence. But you see, whenever any industrial revolution happens, the supporting skills is imminent. They have to come, because otherwise it is not materialized.
Sir,
So
let us be honest, are you ready to face the fifth generation industrial revolution?
actually, we are lagging behind some years, but you see, for the computerization or the second revolution, third revolution, we have coped already. And for the fourth revolution in our industry, in some RMG industries, some leather industries, already adopted the fourth industrial revolutionary equipment. And they have started the robotics, they have started the mechatronics, and they have started the production system with the new technologies. So gradually we are coping.
So you are hopeful?
But, I am hopeful, and our skilling the manpower is very much essential.
But still criticisms, critics are saying that government has lack of programs, lack of budget for this kind of human development.
Yeah, actually our budget is limited, because for this adoption we need huge budget, but we have to go somehow. As he's mentioning, I just supplement this thing, because our talent is going abroad, they are not coming back because government cannot afford them. Their intellectual property, they cannot, government cannot afford these to keep them in the country. But if we go for technological development, they will come back, and finally they will adopt. As he has also come back here and just coping with this existing situation. But if we just invest more in the skilling, if we invest more in the technological development, then we can just have this talent in the country.
And do you think government and the political leaders also have a notion to be strict on this particular also?
Exactly.
Because you see, we have the example, he has studied outside, he has come back to Bangladesh and he is fighting to cope up with the Bangladeshi generations, but he is struggling, right? Sir, Shamsul Alam Panthu sir, I just want to ask you that high dream, hypothetical question, but we are a neighboring country of two nuclear nations. Bangladesh also started nuclear practices. I have an example, Rupur nuclear power plant, first time in Bangladesh. Do you think, or do you wish that one day Bangladesh will be a nuclear nation? Because we are also facing some border conflict issues with some countries, India. They are undermining our border security, they are killing our people, they are dominating our politics, they are dominating our democracies. Do you think Bangladesh should give a move, sir?
Thank you, Mr. Kanchan. First of all, you did mention Rupur nuclear power plant. Definitely, we attained such a power plant with the help of Russia. Not only so, on a previous talk show or on a discussion, I mentioned what are the chances of Bangladesh developing a nuclear weapon. Now, we should definitely, even if we do arrive at that kind of consensus between the current or the future governments, we should definitely be of the category defining from the Atomic Energy Commission. As you know, they are the premier body to undermine or to assess which country and how much of the nuclear heads are operational. Definitely, we do see there's a rise in tensions with our bordering India. We see border killings, and not only so, over the past week we've seen border push-ins.
Right, sir.
In regards to our forces, I'll give you an example. I was thinking about it even last week. America and Mexico, even though they do have illegal deportation, if you say illegal entry to each other's sides, the current prime minister or the current president did build a border wall with Mexico.
Yes.
Now the wall wasn't a concrete wall; it was a slided wall, a steel wall that separated the two sides.
Right, sir.
What this did it created a systemic issue with Mexico. However, the both sides still do have immense trade going on. We have a 4,000-kilometer border with India. There are numerous killings on these borders. There hasn't been an administration to address the fact why we are not considering a border to be an asset of our country. Why is there not a wall, as in such in America, to create this division? Has Bangladesh's strategic realignment reached at a point where we need to create a division between our neighbor? Even in a before show, I said, how long can one persist to fighting with their neighbor? It's not a sustainable cause. However, in our case, we do see certain discriminatory issues coming from India. So definitely, our army or our armed forces should take heed into the practice of not just enriching uranium for energy to fill the energy demands of the country, but definitely to have a couple of nuclear heads stored for when there is a day we are under attack, we can use.
Sir, as you mentioned regarding the India's activities, Times of India has written that after 4 weeks, India's Chief of Defence Staff, General Anil Chauhan, acknowledged the loss of some fighter jets during the initial strikes, but stated that subsequent tactical changes allowed India to inflict significant damages of Pakistani air bases. How do you see this? After 4 weeks, he has acknowledged his loss, India's loss, and also blaming that Pakistan also has lost so many things. How do you see?
Air Marshal Aurangzeb Ahmed, the PAF Air Marshal, he did initially say in his media release that it was a 6-0 win for Pakistan, which the Indian side denied. Of course, the India-Pakistan skirmish we had earlier in the year, it was a battle of narratives more than battle of crossfire. Not just that, as you said, the Indian side had finally acknowledged that there were some aerial losses, which they tried their level best to avoid in their own media for the better half of this month. It just shows that how far the Indian media can bring on their narratives. Now that we know this, definitely there might be some repercussions inside the Indian government as well. It's still a still a progressive story. We'll have to check how much it has gained traction in the upcoming days.
Sir, we are at the last part of the program. Before the ending the show, I want to come back again to Dr. Nurul Islam as we are discussing the future of young generation. I want to give a reference of Singapore founding father Lee Kuan Yew. He has written a book, Nations Building, where he has written when he took the charges of the Singapore Prime Minister, he first invested for the young generation, the children from 6 years to 12 years. He said, if I can invest for 6 years to 12 years, just after 6 years they will be 18, they will be the workforce for Singapore, and Singapore has proved it. Lee Kuan Yew become world's one of the finest estate builder. Sir, we have Professor Muhammad Yunus now in the power, who is well respected around the world. I am sure he will also take some initiatives, but as a technical people, as a specialist on this particular, what would be your suggestions to the policymakers of this country to take care of the young generations for the future of Bangladesh?
Thank you so much. Actually, that is the fundamental question. You see, in our country, around 1/3 of the youth are in NEET. We call it NEET, that is not in education, employment and training. It is very dangerous because they are coming to the labor force, but they are not doing anything. But in India, just I am showing one example that India has started one separate ministry. Ministry is called Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship, because it's a huge country. Bangladesh is also has the population of more than 16 crores. So we have to think for the skilling of the people from very boyhood, because we are now starting the skill training after 8 years of schooling, but we have to start it before primary education, because they should have the orientation and they should have the basic skill. And these NEET people, those who are in NEET, they should be addressed properly. And I think the interim government, particularly the leader, our leader, Professor Yunus, he can just address this problem, because he is always talking about 3 zeros, and 1 zero is the
Poverty,
eradication,
climate, zero carbon and zero
unemployment. So these 3 are related to the skilling of the youth people, because if they are trained, there is no person in need, then the development and these 3 zeros can be materialized, particularly for the entrepreneurship development.
Dr. MD Nurul Islam, you are perfectly said, but I want to be connected with the young generation also. We have a young generation employer. Sir, out of program, I have a question which will be considered as a national service. What is your advice for the young generation, people below your age, how to prepare themselves for the upcoming challenges in the world, job market, business market, challenging AI, challenging GPT, adapting with the situation? I want to get your advice, because you are in the middle of the generation. You have junior section, you have senior section, so you are in the middle, in the bridge. Your advice will be very valuable to me.
Well, definitely they are united more, as we know. Last year we've seen the July-August revolution. We've seen the voice of the Generation Z. Of course, I am a millennial and I am the bridging gap between the various generations. And what we understand is Bangladeshi people or the young students, they should actually focus on building them interpersonal skills, most definitely learning more than one language that I've said before, looking at the strengths of the country and how they can develop such strengths into the foreign corridors. We have to look at that specifically. Of course, age does play a definitive factor with regards to education, regards to politics. There shall come a time where the Gen Z will find themselves to be more lucrative to basic managerial jobs. Of course, that is a matter of time before they can do so. I would wish them very success and very well in their future endeavors as well.
Gentlemen, both of you, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I have 2 issues I just need to mention. On this day, I mean 1st of June in 1980, CNN launches as the first 24 hours news channel, and cable news network began broadcasting, becoming the world's first 24-hour television news network, founded by American billionaire Ted Turner. CNN revolutionized news media by providing continuous coverage of events as they unfolded. Congratulations to CNN International for celebrating 45th year, and today is the birthday of esteemed actor known for roles in the different movies, especially $1 Million Babies. Turns 88 today. His name is Morgan Freeman. Happy birthday to you, Morgan. I'll see you tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen. Goodbye.